What's the best Medicare supplement plan out there? I want to talk about that in this video for a little bit, but full disclosure, I'm not going to actually tell you one specific plan or company. And the reason why is because asking the question, who has the best Medicare supplement plan, would be like going to 10 of your buddies and saying, hey, where's the best place to get a steak around here? You're probably going to get 10 different answers, or maybe not 10 different ones, but you might find some commonality among 10 different friends about where to go. So when it comes to Medicare supplement plans, you have to remember or think differently. You can't just go on the internet in 2023, 2024, or whenever you're watching this video and Google best Medicare supplement plan, because what the reality is that for everybody, their needs, wants, and desires are a little bit different, just like a steakhouse. My name is Jamie from meetjamie.com. I'm an independent insurance broker. And the reason that I enjoy helping people understand the Medicare program and find the supplement plan that fits their needs is because I get to build a relationship with them and understand what's important to them when it comes to their Medicare insurance coverage. So you may reach out to a friend or a family member and learn about the Medicare plan that they have. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep in mind that just like a steak place, their needs, wants, desires, and tastes might be different for you. So there's some very simple questions that you can ask yourself personally about finding the Medicare supplement plan that's right for you. And I want to talk about that in today's video rather than just one plan or one company. If you like videos about Medicare, please hit the subscribe button. I try to post at least weekly here on my YouTube channel and answer the question that I get in the comments below. If you'd like a free, no obligation chat, I'll leave my contact information in this video. I'd love to be able to help in any way that I can. So let's talk about Medicare supplement plans and going about choosing the right one for you. There's some very simple questions that you need to ask yourself. First of all, one of them being, how am I going to cover the medical expenses that I'm going to be exposed to? You know, a few years ago, Fidelity did a study and they found that the average couple in retirement were exposed to $300,000 worth of medical expenses. Now, notice I said exposed. It doesn't mean that you'll actually pay $300,000 in medical expenses as a couple. It just means that you're exposed to them. So when it comes to choosing a Medicare supplement plan, it really is part of your overall retirement planning, because where you're at when you're first eligible for Medicare could be way different than where you might be 20 or 30 years down the road. My wife's grandmother turns 99 this year. That means that she's been on Medicare for over 30 years. As you can imagine, as we age, we're faced with more and more medical expenses. And the medical expenses that maybe she had 20 or 30 years ago look a lot different now. So those are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. A lot of times people are used to health insurance being an annual thing that they look at, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you really want to think about big picture. If I know that personally, individually, I may be exposed to $150,000 of medical expenses in retirement, then I can't just think about when I'm first eligible for Medicare. I can't even think about this year. I've got to think about next year and the following year. And I'm not saying that you should borrow trouble, but there's a lot that goes into trying to decide how to get your Medicare benefits. In many ways, it's like trying to decide when to take Social Security. So the first thing you have to do when you're looking for supplemental insurance to Medicare is you want to look at it from the standpoint of what are my medical expenses potentially going to be for the next 10, 20, or even 30 years. The next thing that I would say is really important is where you live. Here's the thing. Medicare plans vary by where you live. I work in several different states throughout the United States, helping people understand the Medicare program and find the supplement plan that fits their needs. And what I'll tell you is that sometimes I talk to Medicare beneficiaries who tell me, my sister in this state over here, she doesn't pay nearly the same amount that I pay for my Plan G, for instance. Well, that's because rates vary by where you live. And if you think about it, that makes sense because population varies. So when it comes to finding the right Medicare supplement plan for you, you really want to think about, okay, where do I live? What are the rates on a Medicare supplement plan? I primarily right now work out of Minnesota, but right now, as I record this video, I'm in Florida visiting family. And guess what? The rates here in Florida are different than they are in Minnesota. But I drove through Iowa to get here. I drove through Missouri to get here. I drove through Illinois and Kentucky and Tennessee. In each of those states, the rates on Medicare supplement plans vary. They can vary greatly depending on where you live. So you may live in a state where you'll pay $200 to $300 for a Plan G. But other states, guess what? You're going to pay maybe closer to $100 for Plan G. So when it comes to that, again, I just go back to my first point. You want to look at this as a financial planning decision. You're looking at, what are my expenses right now? What is this plan going to cost me this year? Where do I want to be a year or 2 or 3 from now? Because the other thing is that you have to keep in mind is that when you sign up for a Medicare supplement plan, all of the rates go up eventually, right? There's no Medicare supplement plan out there that just has a flat rate for as long as you're on Medicare. They're all going to go up over time. And so you want to take that into consideration. This is one of the reasons why you want to look at the carrier and the company that you're choosing closely, because there are small Medicare supplement plans available from smaller companies and carriers all throughout the country. But what's the rate going to do? You want to take that into consideration when you're choosing the plan that you're going to have. So I would say look at it from a financial planning standpoint. Understand what your expenses are, your costs when it comes to choosing a Medicare supplement plan. And then finally, I would say you really want to consider your health. And here's the reason why. If you are an unhealthy person, let's just be honest, coming into Medicare, your expenses are probably going to rapidly increase over the first 5 to 10 years that you're on Medicare. And so you may want to look at a Medicare supplement plan more closely when you're first eligible, because you have what's called a Medicare Supplement Open Enrollment period when you first come into the Medicare program. What that means is you have a 6-month window where you can get a Medicare supplement plan and not have to go through medical underwriting. Once you're on Medicare and you are past your 6-month Medicare Supplement Open Enrollment period, you may have to qualify to get a Medicare supplement plan down the road. And here's what I don't want you to do. I see this happen with some people. In fact, I had a comment on one of my videos where someone came into the Medicare program and they were trying to figure out, okay, could I do like a $0, Medicare Advantage plan for X amount of time, and then, within that 12-month period, come back on original Medicare and then get a supplement? Listen, don't try to game the system. You're always going to lose. You want to be a savvy shopper. You want to equip yourself with as much knowledgeable as possible. You want to look at the situation with eyes wide open and say, hey, this is where I'm at. I have some health issues. I know I'm going to have some health issues for the next 5 to 10 years when I'm on Medicare. I want to make sure that I can get the best care possible. Don't try to find a shortcut. You know, as the saying goes, the house always wins. Look at it from a standpoint of how can I be a savvy Medicare supplement shopper? How can I look at my situation, look at all my options, and make the best decision I can? Now listen to me. There's no perfect Medicare plan. There's no perfect scenario. It doesn't exist. Just like there's no perfect place to live. There's no perfect house. There's no perfect steak place. How can I gather as much information as I need to make the most educated choice and decision possible? You're not going to avoid some of the ups and downs that come with having to cover your medical expenses, but you can certainly mitigate the risks. Listen, the reason I made this video today is I wanted to provide some value different than maybe what you're seeing online. I don't want to just say, here's the best company, here's the best plan. I want to equip you as a Medicare beneficiary. Listen, my parents are on Medicare. My in-laws are on Medicare. I have other families on Medicare. I have a younger sister on Medicare. I want you to equip yourself to feel empowered to make the right decision for you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the contact information of the description of this video. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. If you have questions, love to hear them in the comments. I try to answer all the comments that I get right now. And I appreciate you watching, liking, and sharing with a friend. Have a great day.